Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 19 of Bat Flips and Maple Dips, or as the cool kids call it, BFMD. My name's Clayton Croker, coming to you from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. So is the guy to my left, Justin Anderson. How's it going, bud?
It's going quite wonderful.
And Captain Skype, Patrick Marsh, the Maritime Mistress Maker, the Alan Doyle Fan Club President, CEO, Treasurer, Note Taker, you name it. He's all over the Doyle. We're all over the internet, by the way. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at BFMD Podcast, Bat Flips Maple Dips. You know how a search bar works. Spotify, Google Play Music, iTunes, SoundCloud. We're all over that. Montana, we love you. Langenberg, Saskatchewan, home of Jess Moskaluk, 3-time CCMA Award winner. We love you. We love you, Vermont. We love you, Wyoming. We love you, Siam. Basically, today we're going to look through the Jays arbitration cases, see if they're worth it or not. And we got some juicy names on there, too. Ken Giles, Marcus Stroman, Gritch Daddy, Devin Travis. Then we're going to go over our predictions from the playoffs because, spoiler alert, a lot were wrong. We'll talk about some more predictions coming up for the playoffs and answer some of those questions that we asked last week. So for you beauties in Montana that just hinge on our every word, good news, we will be answering your questions from yesterday, or last week, not yesterday. Just seems like time slows down when I'm not around you guys.
Yeah, I understand. I feel the same way.
No, I just can't talk. Let's get this going here with arbitration for the Jays. We have 11 players who are eligible for arbitration. First of all, how do you guys like arbitration? Like, when it comes down to it, do you think arbitration should be a part of baseball? Like, do you like how teams and players kind of fight with each other over money?
I always think of the episode of The Office where Daryl wants a raise, and then Michael decides he wants a raise.
Exactly.
And then Jan goes off the record and it's like, ask for 15 so I can give you 12.
Yeah. and then he asks for 15. No, but I can offer you 12. But you just said 15.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like, that's how I feel in arbitration here with Marcus Stroman probably goes.
Bippity boppity, give me the zoppity.
Exactly. Oh, man, The Office is great. Two things to add to our intro. We're out on TuneIn and Stitcher now as well.
Well, then put it in the notes and I'll say it. Don't throw me under the bus that.
I just added it
better.
After you already got through it. But I was like, oh yeah, I've got to put that in there. That's my bad. But yeah, we're two more platforms. We're literally everywhere.
All right, arbitration. What do you think about it, Patrick?
Honestly, I mixed bag because on one hand, I would say that I'm pro MLBPA. I'm in favor of the union fighting for the rights of the players, but at the same time, I do like it when my team can go out and sign more players. But that's kind of more of a selfish thing than it is, altruistic. I don't know. I'm split down the middle. Honestly, it doesn't have any direct impact on my everyday life, and we're already dealing with millionaires, so I don't know. Fuck them.
Don't get too edgy on us there. Way to sit on a fence there. There's one thing about entertaining radio. It's people agreeing with each other. That's great. So let's just go through how this is going to work. So, for example, let's go with our worst player on the arbitration list here, Joe Biagini. His salary in 2018, $545,000, and he earned none of it. His projected salary next year is $1 million. So the team basically has to fight against Joe Biagini in court to not give him that $1 million. They want to go lower than that. That's how we're kind of doing it, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what the Jays would like. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have went with Jan Harris Solarte as our worst player just based on how much money he made this season and his performance.
I'm just thinking on the field-wise and on this podcast-wise, we hate Biagini. So let's start things off with Marcus Stroman. 2018, he made $6.5. He's projected to earn $7.2 million in 2019. Do you think he's worth it? And if Stroman demands more, how much more do you think he should get? Let's start with Patrick here.
Man.
Well, the truth is that despite my feelings when it comes to Marcus Stroman, if he were on a different team or on a better team in different circumstances, his record would probably look a little bit better. So to say that he's worth $7.2 million, I think is a little... It's kind of like unfair. I think like in a vacuum, if you put Marcus Stroman on any like good baseball team, he'll win you at least 10 to 15 games just by virtue of getting better run support. I'm not saying the team didn't support him enough, but I don't know. I think Stroman is worth $10 million, but after the season he just had, he won't get that. So $7.2 million sounds pretty safe to me.
I think Stroman is in that top tier of pitchers in the league, and if we can get him for $7.2 million, a top tier pitcher, absolutely. $7.2 million I think is low for Marcus Stroman. I go to about $8.2 million.
I don't know. I'm happy with that, just based on the fact that he wasn't healthy for a full season this year, and his performance when he was pretty rocky.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Stroman has the opportunity to pitch well in 2019 and to earn more money going forward. I think he'll do that. But for right now, we have to base his salary on what he's done so far, not what he could do. You don't pay somebody based on the fact that, this guy could win 20 games.
True.
But he also might be injured all season again and maybe only pitch in 20 games.
All right, 100 Miles Giles, Ken Giles. He's projected to make $6.6 million next year. He made $4.6 million this year. Do we risk spending $6.6 million on a guy who had a great end of the season, new scenery for him, he pitched well in it, but also, too, he's still a little unproven. So would you pay him that amount, Justin, or are you going to go a little bit lower for that?
Honestly, based on what we saw from Ken Giles in the closer's role, and based on what he said about his time so far in Toronto, is he's enjoyed it there, and he's perfect in save situations this season. And there's only a couple of outings where he looked kind of rocky, but he still got the job done. I'm gonna pay Ken Giles that money.
Patrick, are you paying Ken Giles $6.6 million?
No, and the reason why is because he hasn't proved it yet. I understand, like, he had a fairly successful time in Toronto, but there is a reason why Houston was happy to part with him, and I don't think it's exclusively because of the head case issues. I think it's more along the lines of, in non-save situations throughout his career to date, Ken Giles has been unreliable. So projected to earn $6.6 million, there aren't really that many closers that earn that much money. We don't even know if Ken Giles is going to be our long-term closer. I mean, he certainly looked good, during his, quote, first year with the Jays, but it could be a different story next year. I say, like, of any of the players I want to try to see in right now, I would say, like, really pinch the pennies and try to keep Ken Giles' rates as low as possible.
All right, Yangervis Solarte, projected to make $5.9 million next year. We have a $5.5 million option with a $750,000 buyout on him. Would you buy out Solarte?
Yeah,
I think that's the best option.
I think Solarte is probably the least player on this list who is least worth re-signing. Like, he's the guy where you can just say, like, let's cut him loose. We don't need him. We've talked about it before, how crowded our infield is. We just don't really need Yangervis Solarte anymore.
Yeah, do we need Solarte, Patrick, or no?
If I was in control of the payroll or making and breaking deals with players, I would actually pay Yangervis Solarte as much money as possible to not play for the Jays next year. I would rather pay him $5.5 million to not play for the Jays. That's how bad he was last year.
I obviously would not pay him that, but I wouldn't say he was the worst player for the Jays. There were moments where he had some pop in his bat and he added some excitement. He was kind of entertaining. I don't really want him on the team, though. I don't really want him on the team anymore, though. I want to see our young guys instead of Solarte. Like, I'm sick and tired of the Jays always bringing in these kind of middle-aged guys for a baseball career, 28, 29, and them just kind of playing well and sticking around. I'm done. I want our young guns who we've drafted and we've put a lot of time and money in. I want to see them in the majors.
Yeah, Solarte posted a negative 1.3 wins above replacement this year, and as bad as he was on defense, he was even more of a negative impact player with his bat.
That's bad. Kevin Pillar.
Not great.
$3.25 million. That's what he made last year. He's projected to make $5.3 million. Center fielders get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
And the fact is we can get Kevin Pillar for, let's say, $5 million. What if we got Kevin Pillar for $5 million, a nice round number? We gave Granderson $7 million last year?
Yeah.
Or this year, I should say?
Yeah, that was based on his past.
Exactly. So do you give Kevin Pillar $5 million? I already know what Patrick's going to say, but let's hear it anyway.
To quote Clayton Croker from 5 minutes ago, I'm sick and tired of the Toronto Blue Jays having these middle-aged players.
Yeah, but
you
Kevin
know,
Pillar is a
20,
guy we
29,
drafted,
30.
though. No, Kevin Pillar is a guy we drafted. Kevin Pillar is a guy who's been there for like 4 or 5 years. Solarte's just been there for 1 year. I hate those guys, like the Troy Glosses and the Shea Hillenbrands that we always used to pick up.
The Scott Rowlands.
Yeah, I hated those guys. They're like, okay, why are we hanging on to these guys? But Kevin Pillar, no, he's been there with the team. He is a J. Those guys that are just picked up in free agency here for 2 years and then leave.
I didn't even finish my sentence
but
before you jumped on me.
Yeah, my
No,
gripe against Kevin Pillar is
yeah,
same
no.
as Patrick. I mean, go ahead, Patrick. Finish your thought.
No, I wouldn't pay him. I would get rid of him as soon as possible. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
I'm in the same boat as that too. I mean, Kevin Pillar, he posted his best numbers this year in terms of like power numbers, his ISO, because he hit a lot of doubles. But his walk rate was a career low 3.3%, while his strikeout rate was a career high over a full season, 18.1%. His on base was 282, guys. He's a Major League Baseball player who can't get on base 30% of the time. Mike Trout, Mookie Betts.
Almost.
Mookie Betts hit 340 this year. His batting average is higher than Kevin Pillar's on base
But
percentage.
Mookie Betts is a freak. He's a
He
once
is,
in a
but
generation type of talent.
Considering that Kevin Pillar's OPS is below 700, that's not great. He's barely above 600. His OPS was 608. That's not good
But
for a
Justin,
baseball player.
he makes good, desperate catches in center field.
We didn't see that
have
many
to
of those
keep
this
him.
year.
Sparks the team, guys. Sparks the team.
His defensive contributions this year were the lowest of his career over the course of a full season. He's played 4 full seasons in the big leagues, and this was by far his worst season defensively. He's 29. He's going to be 30 before the season starts. That's when outfield defense starts to go downhill for most players. I mean, there are like Kevin Pillar's a smart outfielder, but at a certain point, being smart only does so much for you when you're not fast enough anymore. And I don't think Kevin Pillar is that fast. He gets a really good jump on the ball, and that's what saves him on a lot of plays. I've talked about that before. But in terms of his overall outfield ability, getting a good jump but not being able to get to a ball, it's going to hurt him as we go forward.
What level of baseball did you guys play when you were kids?
I played 2 years of baseball, and I've been an umpire for 12 years.
Okay, Patrick, did you play any ball growing up?
I did. I played rookie ball, which has like the pitching machine
Yeah.
for a year. And then after that, I played 2 years of, I don't know what you would call it, not Little League, but before that. But we actually had like pitcher. We faced human pitchers. Yeah.
All right, good explanation there.
Pitchers.
I played my whole life. I played midget AAA ball for 3 years in Saskatoon here for the Diamondbacks. Like pretty high level ball. I can tell you guys that those defensive plays in the outfield spark a team. They can turn it around. So technically, if you make those big plays, I mean, I'm not saying that Kevin Pillar is the cornerstone of our team by no means, but those big plays, you guys are underrating those big plays. They can spark a team not just for a game, but for a while. It's just something that brings the boys together. In my playing days, I know that we were down by a bunch of runs. There's a big defensive play. We feel like we can win the game. That's what I think Kevin Pillar brings to the team.
I think that we have guys like Randall Grichuk who made a couple of big defensive plays, like stealing that home run away in Houston this year.
We can have him at the same time. We can have Pillar and Grich
But
out there.
Did you see the catch that Anthony Alford made at the end of the season in center field?
I did not.
It was an incredible baseball play. It had less than a 5% chance of being caught, according to StatCast. And he caught it.
Well, Anthony Alford can call us when he has like an 11-minute YouTube video of his awesome catches in the outfield.
He
has
it.
one.
I'm sure he has that from all his years in the minors.
Yeah, Randall Grichuk, $3.8 million, his projected salary for next
Moving
year.
on.
4.8 for Randall Grichuk.
Yeah.
Do we give him that much money, even though we started the year so bad?
Oh God, yeah. Randall Grichuk, based on a full season of Randall Grichuk, where he finished compared to where he started. He if he would have started better, he's probably worth more than that, more than 4.8. But I think that's a bargain for a corner outfielder who could hit 30 home runs over the course of a full season.
Yeah, Patrick, Grich Daddy.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm all for Grich Daddy. I'm sorry, Clayton. I feel bad. Like we riled up pretty bad there. I don't think I've ever heard you speak so passionately in defense of anything.
One of the best faces of the team, Kevin Pillar. You guys just throwing him under the bus. He has never given enough credit.
I like pushing Kevin Pillar under the bus.
No, that's fine.
I feel like you've had enough of it, and today is just like an explosion of.
Man, you guys don't. I know you guys are all Moneyball over here, getting on base. You need defense, guys.
You gotta get on base, though.
You gotta get on base, but that's fine. We have other guys to get on base. It's not like he's batting like 220.
He has to get on base, man.
It's not like he's batting 220 like Brett Laurie was back in the day. Like he's batting 270 or 280.
The difference between Kevin Pillar and Brett Laurie is that we moved on from Brett Laurie pretty quickly.
Yeah, but
we've allowed Kevin Pillar to do this for 4 years now.
That's true. Aaron Sanchez, can we just agree that he's worth the $3.8 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Devin Travis, can we all agree that he is not worth the $2.4 million?
I'm still hung up a bit on Devin Travis. I want him to be good. When Devin Travis is healthy, he is a top 15 second baseman, and when he's not healthy, like we've seen him be, he's not worthy of a major league contract.
Yeah,
I still think that Devin Travis has something to offer on a major league roster. Whether or not that's with the Blue Jays remains to be seen. We've got so many questions regarding middle infielders with Lourdes Gurriel, Edvis Diaz, Troy Tulowitzki of all people coming up, Bo Bichette, Kevon Biggio. There's people coming, and Devin Travis is going to be pushed out soon, if not before the 2019 season starts.
He hit 232 this year. Kevin Pillar hit 2. Why aren't you crapping on Devin Travis's bat?
Because Devin Travis was hurt for most of the season. He played in 105 games. I think Kevin Pillar played in 140.
That's true.
So there's a little bit of a difference there. And I don't expect as much of Devin Travis because we know he's not a great defender. He never has been.
That's true. Are you as hung up on Devin Travis here, Patrick, or I'm done with him, but
I think he'll be non-tendered.
I don't know. I see somebody is going to take a chance on him. I don't think the MLB door is going to be fully closed on Devin Travis because, when he's been at his best, he's been a 300 hitter.
Yeah. In
large swaths of time, and that's impressive. And he's still only 26, 27, something like that.
Devin Travis is 27. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think the door is fully closed on him. But as far as his time in Toronto goes, Kevon Biggio is going to be our second baseman in 1 to 2 years anyway. So there's not going to be room for him on the team.
Now we get to the nitty gritty here. Jake Petricka, $1.7 million next year. That's what he's projected to make. He made $575,000 this year, so pennies really. Yeah. Has Petricka done enough for you guys to give him almost $2 million? Because he's probably going to get more than that in arbitration.
So Jake Petricka is 30.
Oh, then why? Yeah, we don't want him then.
This is his first year in our organization. No, I don't think Jake Petricka has never been a great pitcher over the course of his career. He's a reliever at best. He's never started a game in the big leagues. He saved 14 games to the White Sox in 2014. I did not know that. But at the same time, his numbers just aren't solid enough to warrant being on a major league roster at this point, not ours. He gives up a ton of home runs per fly ball, which in a bullpen arm you don't want to see. So I'm perfectly fine with just saying happy trails to Jake Petricka.
You too, Patrick, or no?
No, I disagree completely. I think Jake Petricka is definitely worth $1.7 million, and this is going to be a year where a lot of people are going to be paying out the nose to be getting relievers, and we're going to need somebody. We just don't have the money or the resources right now to be, bringing up a prospect who's going to have an ERA over 6 in the bullpen, or like the Mark Leiter special. And it's true. 2014 was definitely Petricka's best year in terms of success. He had a 2.96 ERA and 73 innings pitched. With White Sox, he hasn't come anywhere close to being able to recapture that success. Maybe it's because he hasn't been put in the same situations as he was in Chicago at that time. But I think that Chicago team was crap at that time anyway, and it didn't really matter. But from what we saw this year, it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't really agree with the assessment that he gives a ton of home runs. He's only given up 18 home runs his entire career, and that's over 223 innings pitched. I'm sure if we went and looked at like a season, this past season for Marcus Stroman, he probably gave up that many home runs in less innings. So like that's kind of deceiving to say that. He gets knocked around the ballpark a lot, but he can generate strikeouts. He doesn't walk as many as you think he does. So I don't want to give up on him just yet. And we kind of need him in the lineup or in the bullpen anyway, just because we don't have a lot of options internally.
Yeah. See, on the home runs, over the last 2 seasons, he's given up 12 of those 18 home runs. He's given up 6 in each of the last 2 years. So,
Yep.
And prior to that, in 4 seasons, he'd only given up 6. So, I mean, his home run totals have gone up the last couple of years. So I don't want Jake Petrichka around just because I don't think that a 30-year-old bullpen arm is the cure. We're not going to be competitive next year and probably not in 2020 either. But at the same time, it's tough for us to just keep putting out these bullpen arms who just have no business being around. I think Jake Petrichka is in the same category as Mike Leiter Jr., to be honest, and they just both should not be on our 40-man roster.
Mm-hmm. Last
Yeah,
guy here.
I know,
Okay.
but Justin, hold on a second. Who goes out there then, if not Jake Petrichka? If we're going to pick somebody internally, is it really going to help a 23-year-old
I don't think it needs
come
to
up
be.
to the MLB team? Hold on,
Sergio
let me finish.
Santos.
Yeah.
Let's bring him back.
I don't
Is
think
it-
it needs
is-
to be internally.
Is it gonna help us if we bring up a 23-year-old relief pitcher, have him go out there and get lit up like a Christmas tree, because he will? That's what happens, and lose a bunch of games because of it. Is that really going to help anybody for the sake of saving, a few $100,000? Or can we just go with Jake Petrichka and give our players the time they need to develop, knowing that we're not going to be competitive? It
We
doesn't
bring
matter
back-
if Jake Petrichka goes out there and sucks. We know we're going to suck next year.
Yeah.
Scott Schoenweiss. Bring him back. Bring him back.
Honestly, I
It's a
just
joke.
I watched enough games this year where Jake Petrichka just looked completely lost out there, and I've had enough of him personally.
All right, last guy for arbitration, Brandon Drury. $1.4 million for Brandon Drury. Do you think that, because that's pretty good money for a utility infielder, which
Yeah.
we would probably use Brandon Drury for. Do we want to pay utility infielder almost $1.5 million?
Yeah,
Yeah?
he's an upgrade over Jan Hervis Solarte defensively, and probably with the bat. Brandon Drury, when he was healthy in his years in Arizona, he was a good Major League Baseball player. He was solid. Like he had a year in 2016 where he batted .282. He even batted .267 in 2017. He hit 16 home runs and 13 home runs in those 2 years. And this year he only played in 26 games. He was hurt 2 or 3 different times. Some bad luck for him. So I think Brandon Drury, when healthy, is able to contribute on a Major League roster because of his versatility and with his bat.
Brandon Drury, yeah or nay, Patrick?
Nay, he's a great name to be considered to not protect when it comes to the 40-man roster. He doesn't have a future as a major league starter anymore. He is a better utility player than young Hervis Solarte, but that is not saying enough to justify somebody who's batted, under 200 for the year last year. I know it's like a deceptively low amount of games played, and yes, he had success in Arizona, but he's not in Arizona anymore. He's in Toronto, and he hasn't played well in Toronto.
All right, that's the arbitration/Blue Jay segment of the podcast. It's time for segment 2. Let's talk about the playoffs here. The wild card games, in your opinion, which was the more interesting storyline from the game? The Colorado-Chicago series going 13 innings, and it seemed like every inning had like a crazy on your edge of your seat kind of moment, like,
Yeah.
oh, they got runners on first and second again, they come with that kind of game. Or Oakland using a bullpen day in their wild card game. What is the better storyline, Patrick?
The one I want to talk about more is the bullpen day. I cannot wrap my head around why they did that. Maybe Justin, you've got some insight on that, but I just can't believe it.
I have no idea why they did it either. When I looked up the starting pitchers and it showed Liam Hendricks, I got some like Vietnam flashbacks to his time in Toronto where they weren't great. And
Yeah.
as soon as I saw it, I was like, this game is going to be a joke. I didn't even watch that game. and I'm glad I didn't, because watching the highlights after, like the A's didn't score until the top of the 8th when Chris Davis hit a 2-run home run, and that was their offense for the night in the top of the 8th after being down 6-0. Like, I don't understand.
And imagine being one of the starters on the Oakland Athletics team and being told, "Nah, we're gonna go with Liam fucking Hendricks to start our wild card game, our first opportunity in a little while to stick it to the Yankees in the playoffs." And he goes out and just lays an egg, and then all these guys who fought really hard to get 80 to 100 innings this year, nope. You're not starting. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it's almost. I'm wondering if there's some sort of conspiracy going on. Did the MLB pay Oakland to not start a starting pitcher? Like, they wanted the Yankees to win so badly.
Wouldn't be that crazy of an idea, because again, having a bullpen day in the playoffs is so stupid.
The Brewers did it.
So stupid though. Why would you do that? Not maybe in a game 3 where it's tied 1-1 and you're like, "Hey, we have no arms.
Fair enough.
Really need to save our pitching. Let's just hope we go off on the bats." In a winner-take-all game, in a wild card game, you're going to go with a bullpen day?
Yeah, that's bad.
Is your starting pitching that bad? I don't think Oakland's starting pitching was that bad this year.
It wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, they were missing their big starter with Manea, who threw the no-hitter.
Mm-hmm.
But they still had guys who would have done better than Liam fucking Hendricks.
Yeah. The Colorado-Chicago Cubs game, are you guys worried about the Cubs at all? Because their hitting did not look great this game. And it doesn't sound like Chris Bryant wants to come back there next year either.
It's interesting to see the Cubs kind of imploding on themselves. I mean, they were leading that division until the last few days of the season, and then the Brewers are on a huge winning streak, including the playoffs. But the Cubs kind of just chose the worst time of the year to come off of a high and just hit a trough. Like, teams go cold for a while, but they picked the worst time.
They really did. Let's get to the divisional series then, because, there's only so much we can talk about with the wild card. Milwaukee sweeping Colorado. I thought after that wild card game, Colorado kind of blew their load, if you will, because when you have those big emotional wins in a game 7 or a wild card game or whatever, it's tough to come back and play a team like Milwaukee. That 146 batting average from the Rockies. Yeah. And plus Christian Yelich is just too good at baseball. Milwaukee, looking at them, even though Colorado wasn't as good as a baseball team as the Dodgers, do you guys think that Milwaukee will have a problem with the Dodgers or no?
I think that's going to be a very both these championship series that we're going to talk about are going to be very close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intrigued to see how the Brewers' starting rotation holds up, because the Dodgers definitely have a stronger starting rotation. They have Clayton Kershaw, who's the best pitcher in baseball probably right now. No offense to Chris Sale, who's also very good, but I think that's gonna be a tale of tape, because if both teams can score runs on offense, they're power hitting teams. The Brewers obviously have Yelich, Braun, and Jesus Aguilar, who can smash home runs, but then the Dodgers have Jock Peterson, Cody Bellinger, Justin Turner, Matt Kemp, Yasiel Puig, who all have power. Manny Machado. This is a star-studded series, and it's going to be fun to see kind of the small market Brewers take on the juggernaut Dodgers.
Patrick, what did you see out of the Brewers in that series against Colorado? Were you impressed with their sweep, or is it kind of it's just Colorado?
The thing that was impressive was they, like Justin alluded to earlier, they were able to pull off a bullpen day in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they could is because they have a really good bullpen. And that's going to be the difference between LA and Milwaukee in the NLCS. I think everything else, notwithstanding, it all kind of cancels itself, and I think it's going to be a battle of the bullpens. Who's going to be able to hold the line when the starters come out of the game? And I think, based on what I've seen from Kenley Jansen, I think Milwaukee might have the edge. Even if Clayton Kershaw starts 2 to 3 games, I still think Milwaukee is going to win.
Okay, on to the next series here. LA beating Atlanta in 4 games. I thought the Braves were going to do it.
Yeah,
I think the young Braves, I thought they were just great. Their stadium in the playoffs, that new Sun Life Stadium, is that what we call it? Sun Life Park?
SunTrust,
yeah. That is an awesome ballpark in the playoffs. That place was loud. That place was packed. But the Braves couldn't do it. Are they just too young, or is it the Dodgers are better than them?
The Dodgers were the better team in this series, and yeah, the Braves are a young team. This is great experience for those rookies that in Atlanta. And yeah, he's like you said in the stadium when they turned the lights off during that pitching change, and all the people had the phones out.
Oh yeah,
doing the chop, like that was super cool. I've never seen that in a ballpark before. I thought that was a really cool thing that they did. I mean, we saw some positive things to the Braves, like Ronald Acuna Jr. hitting that grand slam.
He's awesome.
He was the youngest player in the postseason. He's 20 years old and he hit a grand slam in the playoffs, which is pretty cool. Obviously, Manny Machado had a great series for the Dodgers. He only had a few hits, but 2 of them were home runs.
Yeah.
And they came at important times. And Clayton Kershaw exercised his postseason demons with an 8-inning shutout effort in Game 2. He only struck out 3 batters, but he was dominant. Like he had everybody. They were out in front. They were over top of everything, just hitting grounders all day.
Yeah, Patrick, what did you think of the Dodgers in that series, and what do you think about the Braves' future?
So I don't know, like guys, I called it. The Dodgers did stomp the Braves. They were able to get that one win, which was great. Kudos to Ronald Acuna for the grand slam. I didn't even think they would get one win against the Dodgers, but that just goes to show just how battle-hardened the Dodgers are. I mean, they have been in the playoffs so many times in recent years, and Clayton Kershaw right now is playing the best postseason baseball I have seen from a pitcher in a very long time. But I think the Braves are going to take this loss, and they're going to use that experience to help mold them for more competitive playoff baseball in the future. They've just got so many great young players, and I think we're going to see another dynasty-like Braves team resurface here in the 2020s.
Let's move to the AL here. That Houston-Cleveland series that we all predicted would be awesome.
It was not.
Super great baseball. Sucked. The Astros outscored the Indians 21-6. They hit 8 home runs. Are you guys a little disappointed in how Cleveland played, especially their entire lineup? Outside of Francisco Lindor, they hit 100.
Yeah.
That's really, really bad. We all expected a great series. Is Houston just that good, or did Cleveland just lay an egg?
I think we kind of saw the same thing happen in Cleveland that happened to the Cubs the last little week of the season there, where their offense just went completely cold. Not to take anything away from the Astros, who do have an incredible rotation. Verlander was masterful as usual in the playoffs in the game that he pitched. And I mean, the Astros showed up on both sides of the ball. Offensively, defensively, they were great.
Yeah.
And the Indians just weren't. And it's unfortunate because the Indians had some power bats. And I mean, they added Josh Donaldson, obviously, who went 0 in the series.
Yeah.
I don't know if Edwin got a hit, maybe one hit in the whole series as well, but it was a shame to see 2 great teams play and have one team just look that they did not belong at all.
Yeah, Patrick, do you think it was Houston being good or Cleveland being bad? What was the bigger factor in the series?
Honestly, this was like not only was it shocking, this was as big a disaster as you could imagine for Cleveland. I do still believe that stretched out over a full season, Cleveland does have a better starting rotation with, Salazar, Carrasco, and Corey Kluber, Trevor Bauer. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Even if those guys went out and pitched gems, their hitting just absolutely dissolved. They were nowhere to be found, and they just couldn't get any offense going against those other aces on the other side of the diamond. I don't know, do you guys think that this Houston team is now flirting with the idea of a dynasty? Do you think there's even a chance now that Dallas Keuchel leaves Houston if they are able to repeat?
I think they need younger pitching, but I think their offense is just loaded and ready for a dynasty type run because their batting lineup is insane. But their pitching, I mean, Verlander's getting up there in age. He is great, but he's still a little old. He's still kind of playing with some magic that he had from that trade from Detroit, because he was not looking good his last few years in Detroit, and then that change of scenery just kind of jump-started his career again. Maybe that magic's kind of running out. I mean, it doesn't look like it is because he's just chucking.
Yeah.
But does Houston have a lot of pitching prospects right now? I mean, they got Osuna from us.
They got a couple chuckers, yeah.
They got a couple good guys, but it's not like their offense right now where it's holy crap, these guys are loaded.
I think we'll be surprised with some of the prospects that are coming up through Houston's system on the pitching side. they've got a couple of guys who are going to be real good.
Let's talk about Boston and New York. That series, your classic Boston New York series. You had assholes in the stands chucking things at each other. You had awesome chirps and chants coming from the stands. That's what I love most about these series, is the atmosphere at both ballparks. Before we get into the talk, where would you guys rather see a playoff baseball game? A Yankee Stadium game where it's like 99% drunk people and they're
And
getting
it's
rowdy
all
New
dudes.
Yorks and it's all dudes, or a Fenway Park playoff game?
I'd like to go to Fenway just because I think that they're a little bit more respectful than the
I know the obvious answer is Fenway because it's Fenway Park, but I would love to go to a game in New York with just all those New York assholes and
I'd
just
wanna
see
put,
what they're like in the playoffs.
I need to wear water-resistant clothing.
Yeah, obviously, and like sit up high. But like, I would love to go to a playoff game in Yankee Stadium, just see their fans. It looks so fun.
Oh, man. What do you think, Patrick?
This is a great question. I've just spent the last 2 minutes
He's
trying
thinking.
to think about the answer, and honestly, Fenway Park is just the quintessential American ballpark next to Wrigley Field, and new Yankee Stadium it'd be a hell of a showcase. But I think I'd rather go to Fenway and hopefully watch the Red Sox screw up another playoff game in their lifelong pursuit of trying to chase down the Yankees' success.
Well, let's talk about two former Jays in the series because Game 1, Jay Happ, not great. 5 runs over 2 innings. I think they took him out a little bit early, but that's what you do in the playoffs. You take your
Yeah.
starters out early when they start to struggle. You don't want to have a huge meltdown out there. And then David Price in Game 2, classic David Price, not getting out of the second inning, not playing great.
Oh, man.
Who was more disappointing in you guys there? To you guys there, Happ in Game 1 or Price in Game 2?
Honestly, probably Jay Happ, to be fair. I mean, we kind of expect this from David Price at this point. Jay Happ doesn't have a ton of postseason experience, but I thought he would do better than he did. I mean, he pitched well in his time with the Yankees this season, and it was kind of a shame to see him obviously get reffed up quite a bit in those first couple innings and obviously not get a chance to pitch again. So it's too bad for Jay.
Patrick, David Price or Jay Happ, who blew it more?
Well, they both stank, but it's kind of interesting. One of the Sox pitchers who was very successful was Nathan Eovaldi, and I believe I was the one who suggested we should go out and sign him when we were doing the big facelift on our starting rotation. So, very interesting.
I know I have him in my Dynasty Fantasy League, and I like him as well.
I think it's David Price being more disappointing,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, because it's David frickin' Price. It's David Price. He's not one of the best pitchers in baseball, but there was a time when he was considered probably top 3 pitcher in baseball. And he will go down when his career is all said and done as maybe not one of the greats of all time, but definitely flirting with that kind of area. I mean, he chucks gas in the regular season. The thing is, he's awful in the playoffs. He won't go down as one of the greats because he doesn't have that one playoff performance. He doesn't have that chilling moment. He doesn't have any of those kind of moments. He just sucks in the playoffs, but you'd think he would figure it out by now.
Yeah, it's too bad.
He just hasn't. That 16-1 game by Boston, I think that just happens in baseball every once in a while, that a team just forgets to show up and whatever.
Yeah.
But that Game 4, I really thought the Yankees were going to pull it off at the end. I really thought the Yankees were going to come back and take it. But
Another former Jay, Steve Pierce, made that
I
great
know.
stretch. That was a great play
I
at first
definitely
base.
thought the Yankees were it was their time to come back and break Red Sox fans. But it just didn't happen. I had a feeling, but it just didn't happen. Were you surprised that the Red Sox kind of had some ease with the Yankees in this series, Patrick?
I'm not surprised because I knew the Sox were the better team. What kind of does surprise me, though, is that we're seeing a lot of starting pitchers in the playoffs get roughed up bad. And do you guys think it's a combination of age plus fatigue? Or is it just when a team is hot, they just can't be beat? I don't know what it is, but it just seems to me like starters are getting beat up big time in all these division games.
I think it's mostly the batters. And I mean, there's all kinds of rumors flying around that the baseballs in the playoffs are juiced and this kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
That's what the players say.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I tend to believe the guys who are throwing the balls that there might be something different with the postseason baseballs, but it's probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But I think mostly the offenses of just they're the best teams in baseball that are left at this point. So you have to expect some fireworks, and that's what we get.
Let's move on to the championship series then.
Yeah.
LA and Milwaukee. I think that is going to be the better of the two series, even though Houston-Boston is going to be amazing. But I just think Milwaukee is like the up-and-coming new bandwagon team, that everyone wants to love. They're like the Seattle Seahawks of remember 5 years ago, everyone just wanted to like the Seattle Seahawks because they were so fun and exciting.
I hate the shit talks.
Yeah, well, I mean, but everyone else was like, man, Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson, this team's so fresh and so cool. I think the Brewers are the new so fresh and so clean team.
I think so.
And the Dodgers have been around for a while. I mean, Kershaw, he's kind of exercising his playoff demons right now, but at the same time, he's still got to pitch a better game. He's got game 1 against Gio Gonzalez. LA, Milwaukee. Who wins the series, and what's going to be most exciting about it?
Okay, Milwaukee in 6.
Ooh.
They're going to throw another bullpen day at some point, and I think they're going to win that game once again. I'm all about this whole Brewers. I'm on the Brewers bandwagon for this postseason now. I kind of was. I did pick them to win the World Series or be in the World Series against Boston. After seeing the way the Brewers dispatched the Rockies, I'm still sticking. I'd love to see the Brewers win, but I still think Boston will. But I'm going to cheer for Milwaukee anyway. Just even if I have to make my prediction wrong, I'm fine with that. So yeah, I'm sticking with Milwaukee in 6, and I think it's going to come down to offensively. I think that the Dodgers are going to go cold.
Wow, I don't think that's going to happen, but
That's
okay.
my bold prediction.
All right, Patrick, same question.
Oh man, I want to say Brewers in 6 because it's easy. Because that way I don't have to say Brewers squeeze it out in 7 or Brewers shock the world with a 5-game series win. So I'm gonna go spicy and say Brewers in 5. I think what happens is the Dodgers bullpen self-destructs. Milwaukee, they're the new hotness, and they've got so many good bats. And I think Christian Yelich puts on a show. And Milwaukee strolls right into the World Series against Boston, all cocky and confident, and I think they're going to take that one too.
I think it's Dodgers in 5 because they got the experience. They've been here before. They're a great baseball team. And also Milwaukee, I just think they're going to be like Cleveland last week. I think they're good. I think their bats are going to – I think Yelich is still going to hit bombs, and he's going to be great, but it's just like how with Cleveland – it was basically Lindor, and that's it. I think that's what's going to happen in Milwaukee.
Fair
I think
enough.
their supporting cast is going to fall apart a little bit. Houston, Boston, Verlander and Sales, game 1.
That's going to be a great game.
First off, who's going to win that game? Just game 1.
Boston. I think that both pitchers will go 7 innings, 1 or 2 runs apiece, maybe no runs apiece, and it's going to come down to the bullpens in this game. Either way, this series, every game is going to be close.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a 16-1 game in this series like we saw with Boston, New York. This is going to be, I'm saying, a 7-game series. Boston in 7.
I'm going to go Houston in 7. I think that I think Verlander's going to pitch 3 games in this series.
He could.
I think he's going to pitch game 1, game 4, and game 7. I think that they're going to really rely on Verlander in this one, and Keuchel, he'll throw 2. So they have 5, and then they just need to hope that maybe they get it. They need to hopefully win those games, But I think Verlander's going to go off. I think he's going to kind of empty the tank and kind of maybe go for 2, because he has never did he win a World Series before?
Last year.
No, before Houston.
Just last year.
He never won one. I think when he got a taste of winning, and now he's like, I really want to win again. I think he's going to be so amped up that he's just going to pitch great baseball, and I think Houston's going to take it and kind of start a little dynasty. Patrick, do you agree or disagree?
I think that Boston is going to take the series, but it's going to be one of those extravaganzas where every game is going to be down to the wire. I do agree with you. Verlander is going to throw at least 2 gems. I think he throws a 2-hit complete game shutout in game 1. Oof. Really sets the tone. It's going to be like a 1-0 or 2-0 win. And then all bets are off and everybody just kind of locks in and both teams try to go for like the 2-1, 1-0, 3-2 win. It's going to be really tight, small ball, and there's going to be some extra inning heroics. But ultimately, Boston in 7.
Alrighty, we all have 7 games. I
games.
like that. Last week we asked ourselves some questions about the divisional series. Let's just quickly answer them here. Can Boston avoid upset? Yes,
Yep.
yes they can. Will Houston or Cleveland have the better starting rotation performance? Definitely wasn't Cleveland, that's for sure. Man, they were really disappointing. Can the Brewers continue to ride the bat of Yelich? They can, but everyone else will suck if that happens. They weren't horrible. Like
They
the
were good.
Yeah,
Ryan
the
Braun had a good
yeah,
series.
Yeah, the
Mike
Brewers. Yeah, the
Moustakas.
Brewers supporting cast wasn't bad, but again, I just don't see that formula isn't good. It's like the run and shoot offense,
Yeah.
or like the offense that the Phoenix Suns ran with Steve Nash and Marion, just the like up and down fast court.
The old chip and chase.
Exactly. I just don't think this is a winning formula that the Brewers have.
Fair enough.
And then can the young Braves overcome a lack of experience? They could not.
They could not.
Some questions for this series that I'll ask you guys. Will the Brewers rotation hold up against the power of the Dodgers?
Based on my prediction of Brewers in 6, yes. And not only the Brewers rotation, but their bullpen will be solid.
Patrick?
No, but their bullpen is going to do the legwork and get them the 5-game series win.
7 bullpen days.
God, that would be a nightmare. Oh, that would be a
Everyday
nightmare.
bullpen day.
I can't see the Dodgers slowing down offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Puig is going to be sneaky good in this series. God, Puig
he's
just
so
comes
street.
in those big moments, though.
Puig, your friend?
And I think there's going to be a lot of big moments in this series with Milwaukee, and I think Puig lives for that.
Yeah.
God, he's like a different breed.
He's a interesting guy.
Yeah, those Central Americans, they're so good when it comes to playoff baseball. Clayton Kershaw, will he have a strong series, or does he shit the bed again?
Yeah, he'll get the 2 wins for the Dodgers in the 6-game series. He'll be the 2 for them.
He'll be the horse there? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I think Clayton Kershaw will be okay, but he is not going to get a single win, and he is not going to get enough run support.
I think Kershaw is going to be good with his bat, though. I think he's going to help himself out.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I don't know why I have a feeling, but I think Kershaw is going to hit like a big home run. I don't know why. He always hits a couple. He hits a couple. He's not a bad hitter.
He's
And
not the worst,
I think he's. I don't know why I got a feeling Clayton Kershaw is going to help himself out with the bat. And it's going to like spark him.
I love Nashville.
And then who hits more home runs, Houston or Boston?